On the crisp morning of November 4, 2018, in a quiet suburban cul-de-sac in Georgia, the sun rose over the remnants of a women's sleepover, pajamas, wine glasses, and the echoes of a night that was supposed to be harmless fun. But by daylight, one of those mothers would be found dead in the backyard, face down, her life extinguished under a canopy of revelry. That woman was Tamla Horsford, and the laughter from the night before would forever echo with questions. What happened between the last raised glass and the body lying unmoving under the deck? It wasn't supposed to end this way. In Forsyth County, Georgia, a growing bedroom community just north of Atlanta, the night of November 3rd had been billed as a girls' sleepover, a casual get-together of women friends, wine, football, laughter. Tamla Horsford was 40 years old, a mother of 5, beloved by her family, respected in her community. She had arrived that evening with a bright smile, jokes in hand, and a bottle of tequila she had brought herself. She was described by friends as warm, outgoing, protective of her children, and grounded. Being a mother didn't keep her from embracing life's moments. She loved her kids, took pride in them, and attended that party with a mood of fun, not fatality. Her presence anchored the group that night until everything changed. The host of the party, a woman named Jean Myers, had invited a circle of friends for wine, games, and football. The patriarchal remnants of Forsyth County, once almost entirely white, had long receded, but undercurrents of history and privilege still flowed quietly. Tamla arrived about 10 p.m., carrying her own bottle, and joined the game of Cards Against Humanity, the laughter echoing into the early hours. At one point, she FaceTimed her husband and children, proud and present. Witnesses say she went outside to smoke a cigarette about 2 a.m., walked to the back porch, and the night that should have ended with coffee and goodbyes would instead end with her death. Shortly after 2 a.m., a rear door alarm at the house recorded the back door opening and closing at 1:49 a.m. Then again at 1:57 a.m. witnesses say Tamla was on the deck at around that time. The next morning, around 7:30 a.m., the homeowner's aunt, Madeline Lombardi, found Tamla lying face down in the backyard, near the base of the deck stairs. Tamla was clad in a white pajama set with paw prints. She had one shoe off, the other shoe next to her foot. Her right wrist appeared dislocated. Both shins had cut marks consistent with a thin metal piece of lawn edging at the scene. The initial autopsy found multiple blunt force injuries to the head, neck, torso, and extremities. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation medical examiner noted a laceration to the right ventricle of her heart and concluded that a fall from the elevated deck, estimated 14 feet, could produce the trauma. Toxicology revealed a blood alcohol concentration of 0.238, nearly 3 times the legal limit, and presence of THC and alprazolam, an anti-anxiety medication. The official explanation: Tamla fell from the deck while intoxicated. But her family and many independent observers rejected that narrative. The scene suggested more than a fall. The metal edging cuts, the wrist injury, the position of the body face down beneath the stairs, they said it raised the possibility of violence, of foul play. The Forsyth County Sheriff's Office responded shortly after 9 a.m., setting the backyard into a crime scene perimeter. They documented the grill, patio chairs, and the deck stairs. They logged the door movement recorded at 1:49 and 1:57 a.m., interviewed roughly 30 people at the home, and collected statements. According to the incident report, the homeowner and her boyfriend were asleep around 1:30 a.m. Tamla was still awake and said she was going outside to smoke. The last confirmed person who spoke to her saw her heading to the deck alone. In the morning, the homeowner's aunt found her motionless. Deputies initially theorized Tamla tripped on the edging, fell, and died from the trauma plus hypothermia, Georgia morning chill. But an independent autopsy requested by the Horsford family revealed far more serious injuries: head trauma, heart ventricle laceration, and concluded that a fall from less than 14 feet would produce different patterns than observed. Red herrings emerged almost immediately. The party had mixed men and women present despite being pitched as girls' night. Several witnesses said the homeowner's boyfriend, Jose/Barrera, was downstairs watching football, yet his story about finding Tamla differed. One woman's voice on the 911 call speculated Tamla may have been pushed from the balcony. A court officer at the home was later fired for accessing the incident report internally without authorization. This fueled suspicion of a cover-up. The case closed in February 2019. Forsyth County Sheriff's Major Joe Perkins announced no evidence of foul play, ruling the death accidental. But that ruling was not the end. To understand what makes this case so haunting, one must consider motivations, context, and the shadow of history. Tamla was a black woman in Forsyth County, a county once infamous for expelling black residents in the early 20th century. Her death at a gathering of mostly white neighbors reopened old wounds of race, class, and power. For her family and many observers, the possibility of violence in that context could not be ignored. On the other side, those present at the party, some close friends, others casual acquaintances, speak of a fun night turned tragic. Fear, guilt, denial, and loyalty all commingled. A man who may have been the last person to see Tamla alive might also be protecting himself. The homeowner's boyfriend's role remains unclear. The men downstairs who arose later said little. The women upstairs may have seen more than they admitted. The combination of alcohol, late hours, and social dynamics created a volatile mix. Investigators faced cognitive dissonance. Was this a simple drunken fall, or an intentional act concealed by a circle of friends? The lack of decisive evidence hardened the case. Even the community fractured along racial and social lines. Some protested, chanting justice for Tamla. Others stood by the official ruling, unwilling to accept a different narrative. In June 2020, amid national protests around racial justice, the case was once again thrust into the limelight. The Horsford family's attorney wrote to Tamla's husband, Leander Horsford, claiming his own investigation suggested a homicide. Conflicting witness statements, alleged mishandling of the body, missing evidence properly preserved, and a scene not by 2021. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation (GBI) concluded its review and announced it would not file criminal charges, citing insufficient evidence. That decision, to many, felt like a partial closure with half-told results. Key pieces remain unresolved. Who opened the back door at 1:57 a.m. and why? Why was the metal landscaping edge left so close to the deck stairs? A hazard many questioned. What exactly were Tamla's injuries, and did they match a fall? Why did the 911 call delay nearly an hour, found around 8:59 a.m., earlier than the discovery at 7:30? One of the most chilling elements, the 911 audio. In that recording, a woman asks, "Was she pushed from the balcony?" That question lingered in the public mind long after investigators stated no evidence of foul play existed. Just when the case seemed settled, accidental death, new questions emerged. The public petition #JusticeForTamla gathered hundreds of thousands of signatures. Celebrities like T.I. and 50 Cent tweeted about the case, reigniting media interest. Then a document surfaced. An internal incident report showing timestamps of the deck door opening and closing, suspiciously timed for someone who said they were going to smoke a cigarette and return. Witness testimony conflicted. Some said Tamla returned inside. Others said she stayed outside. One claimed she went to bed. The homeowner's log showed her purse and bag inside the living room. But why didn't she return? The family's independent autopsy found cuts, abrasions, and injuries inconsistent with a simple fall. That report argued that the body's resting place, head downhill under the deck, and the metal edge injuries suggested something more violent. Furthermore, the scene was only loosely secured overnight. Partygoers began leaving around 1:30 to 4:10 a.m., making the location active rather than isolated. The homeowner's boyfriend, who called 911, had been a court officer and was later fired for improper access to the incident file. Some believe that meant evidence may have been handled or tampered with. The investigators, too, carried emotional weight. Deputies and CSI techs spoke sleeplessly of the scene, the duties unfulfilled, the possibility of oversight. The question: when procedural failures exist, is it accident or negligence? The sheriff's office insisted the fall scenario made sense. The family said justice demanded more. Local residents of Forsyth County watched the case unfold amidst a backdrop of demographic change. Once largely white, increasingly diverse, Tamla's death became part of a larger narrative of race, of privilege, of doubt. For Tamla's husband Leander, the loss was personal and profound. 5 children, some young, some older, lost their mother. A family anchor disappeared overnight. The fight for answers became a spiritual and emotional mission. Officially, in July 2021, the GBI announced it would not pursue criminal charges. The death remains ruled as an accident due to a fall with contributing factors of intoxication. But unofficially, the case remains open in the hearts of many. The petition remains online, social media groups remain active, new independent analyses surface. Tamla's family continues to challenge the narrative. The homeowner faced a lawsuit accusing her of wrongdoing. Some evidence was alleged to have been lost or mishandled. Today, the deck stairs remain a symbol. A small elevation, a metal landscape edge, a woman's life ended under unclear circumstances. In the end, Tamla Horsford's story is more than one death. It's a cautionary tale about trust, accountability, and systemic failure. It raised questions about adult social gatherings, alcohol, security systems, and how frequently tragedies are ruled accidents when they perhaps demand more scrutiny. The death sparked conversations on race and justice in a county long defined by exclusion. It ignited demands that the justice system treat all deaths with equal rigor and hope. The backyard in Forsyth County stands quiet now. No laughter, no footsteps, no echo of the party that unfolded hours before everything changed. The deck remains. The metal landscape edging remains. But the truth still does not. Tamla Horsford's name continues to be spoken across social media, in petitions, in conversations about justice, accountability, and the unanswered questions left behind. Her 5 children grew up without their mother. Her family continues to push for transparency. And a community still splits between accidents and something far more troubling. Perhaps one day new evidence will emerge. Perhaps someone will step forward. Or perhaps this case will remain suspended in the space between truth and speculation. A story where the final chapter has yet to be written. But until then, one fact remains constant. A mother went to a sleepover, and she never came home. Thank you for watching Silent Evidence: True Crime Exposed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for another chilling true story.